Hi everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to work a double brim. Now what a double brim means is that basically the brim is folded over, so you get that double thickness. It gives such a lovely nice finished edge to your beanie. I know my daughter in particular really loves the double brims because she suffers from earache. We get lots of cold winds coming off the North Sea where I live, so this really helps to protect our little ears. So that being said, this brim is 2 inches. So in order to get a 2-inch brim when I'm working it, I actually need to make a brim that is 4 inches long so that we can fold it in half. Now here you can kind of see what I mean. So I've got my starting chain. So for me, doing a single crochet black loop, 4 weight yarn with a 5mm hook, that's 21 stitches. And you can see it's just over the 4 inches, which is absolutely fine, because when we get to fold it over, you're going to have that little bit just at the bottom which will shrink it a little bit, and then it'll fit the 2 inches. So as I say, I've done a foundation single crochet of 21 stitches, and to work my particular brim here I'm going to do the single crochet back loop only. So if I come in a little bit for you so you can see a bit better. So I'm going to miss this first one, and in the second chain from hook I'm going to work the second stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet into the back loop. So instead of going through both loops as you would ordinarily, you will go through both loops. See where the V is there? This one closest to you is the front loop, and that one furthest away is the back loop. So instead of going through them both, we literally just go through the back loop, and we do that all the way along the row. You can do this with a slip stitch, you can do it with a half double crochet, it really doesn't matter. And obviously it depends entirely on how the designer's written the pattern, but I just wanted to show you the basics of how to put together a double brim as you're working it. So almost always with the double brim it will be a bottom up hat because it's the easiest way to attach it. So I'll get to the end, make sure I get it right into that last stitch. I'll chain 1, I'll turn, and I'll work into the top of that first stitch, back loop only, single crochet all the way along, and I do that until the brim measures what it says in the pattern. If you're just making up a pattern, ordinarily for an adult hat, for a small it's around 18 inches usually, and it'll have a bit of give in it, so it'll fit a slightly bigger head. The medium will be a 19 inches and a large to fit around about a 22 inch head would be 20 inches. So you'd follow that process all the way to the end, and then I have a brim that I've started working. So I've got this brim, as you can see, up to 19 inches because I'm making a double brimmed hat. So now what we need to do is, I haven't fastened off at the end. We're going to be able to do this without fastening off. In fact, if you have enough yarn in your skein, you can do a whole hook without, sorry, a whole hat without doing that. So if I just come in a bit more there for you so you can see what I'm doing. So now what we need to do is fasten the two ends together and actually join them. So make sure that you haven't twisted your brim at all. It helps to chain one at the start just to get a little bit of height so that you can work into that hook, and take the back loop of the first stitch and join it to the back loop of the other side and slip stitch. And then you do the same with the next stitch. So we go for the next stitch and we'll look for the back loop, and the same on the other side, and we'll slip stitch it. And again, the hook doesn't want to go through that one, and again, and we do that for all 21 stitches. So I'll do that and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so we've got to the end of that row, and if I just take my hook out, you can see, well, it's not entirely visible, but at this point what I like to do is take a look at both the front and the back and decide which side I like the best to be on the outside of my hat. And I think I'm going to go with this one. I'm just going to quickly turn it. If I turn it the other way, then I won't lose me yarn through my hat. So this is the side that I would like on the outside of my work. Now what we need to do, if I come out a little bit, sorry, is to fold over the hat. Now if you have ends, double brims are fabulous because you don't have to tie them in. You could literally just hide them inside the hat. Handy hint, if like me it's the worst job in the world sewing in ends. Now if you haven't made a double brimmed hat before, what I really would recommend doing is using stitch markers or pins just to loosely pin, even if you do 4, so one at the beginning, quarter, half and 3/4, just to keep it together, because if while you're working, if you stitch it together and it starts to pull, you'll see that your brim will become wonky, and we don't want that. We want it nice and pretty. So if this is your first go at doing a double brim, highly recommend using stitch markers just to keep it in place so you know where you are. Right, and if I find me stitch, so I'm not going to use a stitch marker for mine, and we'll see whether I pay the consequences of that when we're finished. So if we come in a little bit, so the pattern that you're working will tell you whether you need to do single crochets, half double crochets, whatever stitch it is, you need to follow this principle. So I'm going to do some half double crochets around mine. So you need to go through a stitch on there, the front part, and you need to make sure it goes right around to the back, and then work your stitch. So in effect we're sewing it together with our hook and yarn as we're making our stitches. So half double crochet, see, it's going through both the front and the back of the brim. double crochet, and just every now and then it might be useful just to give your hat a little bit of a stretch and make sure we're still working straight, that we're not twisting that brim. Make sure we'll go through the front and the back. So you can see there how it's fastening both of them together, and you're still getting a nice stitch to work into without having a lot of bulk around there. So here we've got another end. I'm just going to tuck it in and continue working. So here we've got another end that I'm just going to tuck in and continue working. And that is how to make a double brim. So basically You can do that with any pattern that you have, any hat pattern that's bottom up, or even top down really, if you're going to stitch it on at the end anyway. Is if the pattern asks you to do, I don't know, 7 stitches for the brim, just double it up, do 14, maybe add 1 for the turn, and then you can work it this way and get a nice super thick, really comfortable, not bulky double brim. I promise your ears will love you for it. So I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Please feel free to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. There'll be lots of pattern tutorials, stitch of the months, lots of different things going on that you may want to check out. So we would love it if you would. Thanks very much for watching. Bye!